Alright guys, so we officially have Lostbelt 5.5 or Yugioh coming out to the NA version of the game. I'm sure a lot of people are excited about this because this means that Ibuki is going to be coming out very soon, and it also means that Doman's going to be coming out, and I guess if you like the K-pop Saberman, he's also going to be coming out as well. It's a little strange because I believe the download campaign is actually supposed to come out before the pre-release campaign, so it seems like they might be just trying to get out 5.5 all during November, and maybe they push the download campaign back into like maybe early December or something. That could definitely be something we see. Or in like 3 days, they're like, oh, and by the way, here's the download campaign, right? They might just announce it in a couple of days. So if you're freaking out being like, oh my goodness, I wanted to summon for Murasaki, she might just be right around the corner. But we're going to talk about this short and sweet little campaign. We got a couple of servant buffs. We have a decent raid up banner coming up if you want to go ahead and summon on that. But before we actually begin, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel for daily FGO content. Also, I stream every weekday over on my Twitch at about around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Didn't stream on Wednesday because I actually streamed that morning reacting to the new servant that came out, which, by the way, I know a lot of people were a little upset with the take I had on that one, but she's not bad, by the way. Like, I don't think she's bad. I just think that, I don't know, it feels like she should have came out like 6 to like 8 months ago, right? It's very, very strange, but let me not trudge that back up and have everybody, you know, pick up the pitchforks again and be like, we gotta burn this guy. But anyway, first, like, probably most important thing that's going to be coming out with this event is that there are 3 really solid buffs that come to the game for Kintoki, Danzo, and Ibaraki. So Kintoki actually gets this nice buff to his NP that's not only going to just raise the general damage scaling of his NP, it's also going to give him more damage on any clapback NPs because he's going to lower that enemy's buster resistance by 30% for 2 turns, which does synergize pretty well with his kit because if you guys don't know, he does have a 50% battery, so it's actually not super hard for Kintoki to have a clapback NP. Sure, you know, as a bit of an older servant, you know, his hits on the arts card are a little bit low, and, you know, you might struggle to kind of get that like massive NP back, but really you just got to get the 50% with somebody like a Waver or like with Koyenskaya, you know, whenever she comes out in like a couple of months, well, not a couple of months, but like, you know, for the anniversary, they can just help his subsequent NPs do a lot more damage. So like, it's kind of like they gave him double damage on this because not only does he get the buff scaling, but he also gets this ability to reduce their buster resistance and do even more damage. So that's really good for Kintoki. That's kind of all that Kintoki wants to do. He just wants to do big ooga booga damage, and they definitely gave him that. Danzo, I think they kind of made her a nice little support because Danzo has the ability to kind of like offer protection to her allies, and then they're now also giving her the ability to buff their buster performance even more with this 20% buster buff to the entire party for 3 turns. So again, very similarly to someone like Kintoki over there, that if you fire this NP numerous times in succession, you actually can start giving like your party just like this permanent like 40% buster buff if you're able to manage it properly. I mean, not a whole lot of people use Danzo, so there's not a whole lot of like showings out there for it, but it is possible to do for a couple of turns and, you know, really beef up the damage of your party. And keep in mind, Danzo is one of those servants, and actually just the buster meta in general is really good for stuff like this because if you're using her with Koyenskaya or Oberon, they also have damaging NP, so they can actually make use of this, and you can kind of have the entire party just like circle jerk each other for buffs, right? It's like, oh, you're giving me more damage? Well, let me give you more damage, and we all just do more damage. It's buster meta, go figure. We're all just doing insane amounts of damage. But because the NP also got buffed, you can see that it also got the higher NP damage scaling over there. So that's also really good for Danzo because Danzo didn't really do a whole lot of damage. So now like this kind of raises it up a little bit. Again, unfortunately, it doesn't activate first, so it doesn't like double buff in the same way that like Kintoki's does. But in a way, Kintoki and Danzo have the same thing where it's like their first NP will like do some pretty good damage, but then the follow-up NP will do even more damage if you can maintain it. Although Danzo may be more so because her buff lasts for 3 turns. And I guess at the very least, Kintoki, maybe you can whiff it if the like the enemy just can't be debuffed or something like that. At least this is like a party buff, but I think they're both great. The Ibaraki one is really interesting because it's a buff if she's fighting with Shuten Doji, which I really like. I mean, sure, they gave her like the ability to target one of your allies and remove their debuffs, which is really good because it gives her a little bit more synergy with her support. So let's say right now you're using her in like, I don't know, a Merlin Waver team comp, and you really need Merlin to use his illusion skill, but oh no, the boss has stunned him. Now you can actually use this and save your Merlin so he can save the entire party. It has really good utility like that, and then it also just gives him 100% crit damage buff, so, you know, turn your Merlin into a crit DPS for a turn. But One of the things that I really like is they kind of gave her like a little bit of a lore buff, right? So it's like if Shuten's, on the field, she gets a pretty decent attack buff, or can give them a pretty decent attack buff, and then she charges her own gauge by 20%, which is really nice. I like buffs like this, that even though, not a lot of people are probably going to go out of their way to use Shuten Doji and Ibaraki Doji alongside each other, because it's kind of hard to like fit them into team comps together for like super optimal team farming shenanigans, right? Or like team killing, like it's hard to do stuff like that, but it's still fun from now and then, right? It's just a fun thing to be able to do. Like on stream, we'll like do like Argonaut themed teams. We'll do like Knights of the Round Table themed teams. And I like that they kind of are throwing some buffs like this for some servants. So like if you want to do some, quirky lore team, right? You want to do some just fun setups, right? You don't want to be like super serious, being like, I gotta go double Koyanskaya and obliterate the enemy right now. Like if you want to just kind of relax and have some fun with the game, they kind of reward you for being able to do that. So I kind of hope they do more buffs like this in the future, although, because this is on NA, we kind of know that they don't do it all the time. I'm hoping JP will start incorporating it more, because I just think they're really, really fun. Then we actually have the raid up over here. Surprisingly, Raiko didn't get a buff. She's like the only person that came back that doesn't get anything. She didn't get a costume, or she didn't get a buff, which I was kind of more disappointed about the costume when this first came out on the JP version of the game, because you would think Raiko would be like one of the most deserving of a costume characters, but I guess she also has a summer version, so maybe they count that. But then again, Kentoki's also got the rider version, so it's like, it's the deal, man. Where's my Raiko costume? But I understand why they didn't buff her when, she came back for this, because Raiko's very similar to someone like Gilgamesh, that like, if you just give them a buff that is like slightly too good, they just become nuts to butts broken overnight. But I think one of the things they could give Raiko is probably buffing her mana burst, because for some reason it's only 30%, which is really weird in 2022. But this is a pretty decent banner. Like if you want to spend your Saint Quartz on it, it's not that bad to go for. I know personally I'm probably going to throw a couple of multis at Kentoki, because his new outfit is absolutely fire. Like that new outfit I think is one of like the best costumes they've ever released, and it like literally makes me want to summon for Kentoki because he looks so cool in it. But aside from that, you can actually get some pretty decent value out of the actual 5 stars on this banner. Kentoki does have a good, like, kind of boss killing niche with like his ability to stun them. Like I mentioned earlier, he does more damage every time he fires his NP because of the buster down. The 50% battery does also give him a farming niche as well. If you encounter some node that has just one really big random enemy, Kentoki does a lot of damage on just one subsequent NP, right? He just bam slams him down with like his big attack buff, big NP damage now, especially with it being buffed. You can use him for like those really weird, annoying enemy nodes, so he's good for that. And Raiko is just kind of great in general, right? Like her NP's basically a star bomb, and then she could just suck them back all up and then just start critting everybody into oblivion. And she's got like 2 really good special damage mods as well. So realistically, if you want to go for this banner, by all means, go ahead and go for it. I wish you guys the best of luck if you're going to decide to summon on it. Just keep in mind that, again, Doman's going to come out with the actual release, and so is the K-pop Saberman. They're both really, really strong. Doman especially is really good if you need like a farmer. Sure, he is an alter ego, so it can be a little awkward using him in like mixed class nodes. Like if there's a rider plus saber node for some reason, right? Stuff like that can kind of hurt him, but he's still absolutely great for boss killing, for boss fights, and for farming. And then Ibuki's going to come out for part 2 of 5.5, and Ibuki is really, really strong. I still think she's like one of the strongest sabers in the game, period, AoE or single target. She's just absolutely phenomenal, having used her on JP for like the last 2 years, right? She's absolutely phenomenal. So just kind of weigh your options. Unless you're a whale. If you're a whale, you're just going to summon on every banner anyway, right? And this advice means nothing to you. But if you're more of a free-to-play player, or maybe you're more of like a dolphin, right? You only spend a little bit here and there. Just kind of weigh your options if you want to summon on this banner, or if you want to wait for the other banners that are going to be coming out probably for the rest of this month. But that's all that I got to tell you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video.